It's Monday, February 8th, 2021. Everybody, what a great weekend this has been. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek between the snowstorm, the cold temperatures, but we had the Super Bowl, and it is Black History Month, which is really important. In today's video, I have two guests. First of all, I spoke with Marva Ferguson, Associate Professor in the Department of Child Studies and Social Work, about what Mount Royal is doing for Black History Month. Second, I had a quick conversation with Marty Clark from Health and Physical Education on the Anti-Racism podcast that Cougar Athletics is hosting, and Marty has been a guest podcaster on. Well, joining me on my video this week, Marva Ferguson from the Department of Child Studies and Social Work. Hello, Marva.
Well, hello, Stephen, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Marva, I'm so pleased that you were willing to join me. With February being Black History Month, you've actually invited me in the past to an event at the Caribbean community, and I so value that invitation. This year, with COVID and the craziness we're dealing with, what advice do you have for me or others how we can get involved or participate in this February's Black History Month?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to let you know that although we are not meeting in person, we will be having a virtual event this year. And the theme for this year's Black History event in the Caribbean communities is desire to make a difference, community responsibility, and integrity. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But it speaks to the leadership within the Black community, which is oftentimes overlooked and not spoken about. And we are going to be channeling our energy in talking about some of the leadership qualities that we have and some of the actions that we have taken over the years, and speak to the successes and what we can continue to do. So you asked the question, what can you or other members of faculty do for this event and other events? I would suggest finding out about the events, attending, learning, listening, and participating. Because, one of the things that happen is that once we start to talk about racism, or when we start to talk about the lives and experience of Black people, sometimes we get uncomfortable, especially in a mixed group. And we are suggesting that to respond would mean be wanting to become uncomfortable with the conversation, and to just show up, because these events are usually free. They are open to the public, and you asked about the event, so definitely there is a date. It's February 27th, and there's more information to come.
Thanks, Marva. And I really appreciate the context you've given there, because I think I'm not alone. But for me, sometimes it's this sense of, I don't want to feel awkward, but I think you're telling me, Steve, feel awkward, get yourself uncomfortable. And then secondly, would I be welcome? And I think you've been very strong advocate to me saying, Steve, you're welcome to come.
Yes. And you have made a very good point there about discomfort. And I want to also say that, this discomfort does not only happen with faculty. It happens in the classroom. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation now, because if things were different it would be seamless and it would be okay. And it would be a conversation that is quite relaxing and open for all of us to participate in. But we know historically and realistically that doesn't happen. So we are hoping that not just for Black history, but that it continues, because here's the thing that happens, here's one of the things that I noticed. We focus a lot on Black history during the month of February, but Black history happens and our experience happens every single day. And we want it to be a conversation that continues and becomes integrated in the conversation on the university campus.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Any other thoughts you have?
I also, just to let you know that there is the BIPOC community. There's a group of instructors who have come together to form a committee. So they have been a fantastic resource for information, and they have been sharing information with the general university community. So it's also an opportunity to get to know the BIPOC community and to find out what's going on campus, because they're a very strong advocate group.
Well, thanks, Marva.
Well, thank you for having me.
So joining me, Dr. Marty Clark from Health and Physical Education. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Marty, it is Monday morning, so how was your weekend?
Oh, Steve, my weekend was incredible, very relaxing, and I watched the Super Bowl on Sunday, and I absolutely cannot believe what happened in the fourth quarter. I just did not see that coming.
I'm with you. That took me by total surprise as someone with an interest in sports, hey?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm a keen observer of all sports, and I'm also really into chicken wings, and I absolutely can't believe how many chicken wings I ate in the fourth quarter as well. Congratulations, Tom Brady. I can't believe you're still winning. Go Buccaneers. Here's to playing until you're 50 years old.
I just actually had met with Marva and recorded a little video with her describing what some of the events available for Black History Month at Mount Royal, being that we're not on campus. So she has shared that. So thank you, Marva, for doing that. And Marty, with you having done the podcast with the Cougars Anti-Racism series, I thought, you know what, why not have you on and just ask you to tell us, A, what do you know about the overall series? And then B, why might someone want to listen to your episode?
Yeah, well, what I know about the whole series is that I know Athletics and Recreation really wanted to do something to capture this moment of sort of anti-racism activism to support their athletes of color, and to really take a stand. And I was really happy that they were doing that. And I really wanted to support them and work with them in any way I could, because in my work, I teach about that, I research about that, and I'm very passionate about that. So they they got my input right from the start about who could they talk to, who would they want to talk to. I gave them some names and some ideas, and they were really interested in doing this sort of honestly and talking to athletes, talking to scholars, talking to activists, and they got a collection of people and kind of divided it along 4 episodes. My episode, I think, is the first one on diversity and inclusion in sport, and I got a chance to ask one of my colleagues in sport history, Ornella Zinduki-Imana, to talk about her research and her own thoughts. And so, yeah, we put together a podcast. There are 3 other in the series that are along the same lines that tackle other topics. And so, yeah, it's a really great initiative. And I just want to thank Athletics and Recreation for putting their full support behind it. and Brad Clark of Mount Royal and his team for producing it and putting it together. It sounds really good. So everybody should watch or listen, I suppose, not watch.
Thanks, Marty. How long are the episodes?
That's a good question, Steve. I don't have it in front of me. I think mine's 36 minutes. And I could just bring it up and check here quickly, very quickly. So my podcast with Ornella is 36. The one on unconscious bias with Steve Kootenai-Jobin is 31 minutes or just under 32. There's another one about unpacking privilege. That's 23. And then one on cultural competence that's also 23 minutes. So they are short, really digestible, I think, podcasts. And of course, mine as a sports historian and Ornella as a sports historian, we talk the longest, of course, because we can't shut up about sport history and really important things like racism and anti-racism in sport.
Who is this for? Like, would you say the target audience is who?
That's such a good question. And I think it's meant for everyone, Steve. So it's meant for students, it's meant for faculty and staff at the Mount Royal community and people interested in sport in the Calgary community, I think. And of course, Ornella and I talk about Canada and Canadian sport history. So anyone who's interested in Canadian sport history as well would get a lot out of this. But it is meant for, and I think it's designed for the Mount Royal community for us to have really important conversations about sport, but more importantly about racism and what we can do.
Thanks, Marty. I really appreciate you sharing with me, and of course, we're sharing this with our faculty. So I encourage people to take a listen to it.
I do too, Steve, and thanks for your support and your shouting this out for us. And I think the more people that listen, the more people that are in the conversation, and the better things can get for all people in our society and culture and our little community at Mount Royal. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, always good to talk to you, and we will talk soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Take care.
Bye. I did learn that Balzac Billy did see his shadow, which the prediction therefore is 6 more weeks of winter. I'm also told that March 21st is the first day of spring. Not sure what all this means. I'm hoping that the weather looks up as this next week goes on. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you in 3 weeks.